I do think that people get addicted, and I'm completely with you. I think that we do need to have self-discipline and say, this is a zone where we don't do it. Like with regards to being
because there's no demarcation anymore.
And that's the problem. That's what that's what the Ofcom report's saying, that we're at work, we're taking personal calls, we're going on holiday, and then saying that we'll do a conference call. So yeah, I mean, I think that we are all growingly addicted.
The thing that a lot of people picked up on this morning on our texts and emails is the issue of use of phones in the toilet. This one, here's Terry, who's got in touch, says, I was in a public loo once, heard a ringtone from a cubicle, obviously next door. So a voice said, hello, a brief pause, followed by the words, I'm on the toilet, what do you want? Words fail me. Words fail me, says Terry. Never mind it being a generational thing, it's a social obsession. Behaviour associated with these things is often rude and ill-mannered. Is that the point where you say no in the toilet?
I think the loo has to be, a low point. But I have seen people tweeting who've said, I've just dropped my phone down the loo, which clearly means that not only have they, been on the loo and used it, they've then obviously dropped the phone in it, which is quite disgusting. Although someone pointed out, is that any different from people taking magazines and books in? I don't know. I mean, Ofcom is saying that we're reading fewer books and watching less TV. With our children, we're interacting less. There's got to be a bit of an issue here if we don't learn to demarcate and to sort of have boundaries in terms of where we're... Because if we're talking to other people, well, why the need to tweet all the time? I mean, we all do it, but actually, to what extent? And you say how to leave Twitter. Well, there's a balance.
Yeah, people are definitely addicted to the sugar rush of just... the attention. It's kind of it's going back. There's messages. There's people that want to speak to you. There's people giving you news.
It's kind of a sad indictment, isn't it?
Well,
if we're a sugar rush, that you have to get sort of affirmation from other people contacting you.
There's a lot of very, very good things about Twitter, though. At the same time, or else we wouldn't be going back there. There's a lot of very good feel-good aspects about it.
And also the working side of it. If you work, I work in technology, so I use it quite a lot. But there's the whole PR side. So if you want to self-promote, which is what this generation does, so YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, lots of social networking sites, it is a good tool to get your message out there. Yeah. If you've got a website and you post an article on there, it can drive traffic to your site. So you do have the addictive, wanting the constant attention maybe from friends, but you've also got the positive side where you can use it for your work.
And you can't turn back the clock, can you? That's one of the things, because I can remember a time when in a domestic home, in my home when I grew up, there was a room in which the phone was. And if you wanted to make a phone call, you had to go there, and that's where the phone, there wasn't, and people used to shut doors, and it was kind of a private thing.
Yeah.
But that's all.
It's all gone. But would you want to go back to that?
Well, were we any worse off? I don't know. I mean, sometimes I sound like I'm a kind of technology denier. That's not the point. But I mean, you have to move with the times, don't you? It has changed. It's almost as if you have to accept it now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that's just technology always advancing, and you've got to go with it, or you get left behind.
But then you have to have rules, don't you?
Definitely. I mean, things like at dinner, or if you're out with your family eating or socialising, I don't really think you should be sat there on the phone, even a kid.
Children, I think.
No, I don't have children. No.
So I know yours is a bit young, but when and if you have a family, would you then set those? Would you set your kids and say, right, when we're eating?
Drives me around the bend.
Yeah.
Drives me. I mean, I shouldn't sound like an old fogey. You sit there and someone half having a conversation with you and half looking down like this. I find it really insulting. I think it's rude.
I
do. Look at you laughing at me.
I
do you think
with that.
I'm wrong?
And I reckon I do.
Well, I think that we're all...
If you were talking to me now, and while you were chatting, I was just, like this. That's rude, isn't it?
Oh, on one level, yes, but on another level, I would assume that you have a very busy life and maybe you have to take a work phone call.
Something more important than talking to you?
Well, obviously, there's nothing more important than talking to me, but maybe I do accept that people have very busy lives, and if you sit down beside me and you go, look, I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to take this from my editor or whatever, I'm not going to be upset and offended, because that's the world we live in. I mean, if I saw you doing it at a funeral, I would think that was all.
Speaking of which, we've got a text on that.
James in Richmond says, he says, I've texted from a funeral. But in defence, I was updating friends who couldn't make it.
No,
the latest news.
Sorry. No, you see,
do you need that urgent information about?
That's why we're talking about
boundaries.
Lines
there
and
has to be boundaries.
Yeah.
But it's good fun.
It's interesting, isn't it? Thank you.
It's fun.
Anyway, we're busy now, so we're going to do this for a while.